Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and today we're going to be reviewing the books from Free Comic Book Day 2019. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and this weekend is Free Comic Book Day, so be sure to head over to your local comic shop, get some free comics, enjoy some sales, try something new, and do support the retailers because they go out of their way to make this event very successful and give away free comic books for you guys. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video. We're going to go through the books that I read this year. I'm going to kind of guide you into what they're about, maybe what you want to get into, maybe some things you want to try. My number one pick for Free Comic Book Day this year is Interceptor. This is a Free Comic Book Day issue of the entire first issue of Interceptor from Vault Comics. Vault Comics is doing amazing stuff. Back in the day, Donny Cates, before he really broke out into the scene, he worked on this Interceptor book, and now Vault has the rights. They've been publishing the sequel, Reactor. There is a trade paperback finally coming out from Vault of the entire Interceptor collection. That's coming out in July. This is a nice sample. It's a first issue. Really good stuff. I had never read this. A lot of people already have. It's got artwork by Dylan Burnett. It's written by Donny Cates. It's a really cool, nifty idea about a world where the Earth was overrun by vampires, and they just decided to escape, and they left Earth, and they went out and formed their own space colony, and they nuked Earth. But it turns out it didn't take care of the problem. Now the problem's coming back. It's a great setup, really cool, fun, dynamic artwork. Dylan Burnett was the cat that worked on Cosmic Ghost Rider, that miniseries with Donny Cates. So if Donny Cates fans, you're going to love this one. Vault fans, you're going to love it. I'm really, really excited that Vault's bringing Interceptor back into print this July, and I cannot wait to check out the entire series. So that is my number one pick. Like, seriously, something cool, something unique, something different, and something fresh, even though it's a few years old. From Marvel, we've got this Spider-Man one. This is sure to be the one that everybody's going to grab up. This is a lead-in to the upcoming Absolute Carnage series. So this is also written by Donny Cates. Donny Cates is setting up with artist Ryan Stegman this magnificent Venom run, right? And he's setting up this cool Absolute Carnage story that's kind of a throwback to Maximum Carnage and some of the best moments in Carnage / Venom history. And the whole gist of it is everybody that's ever worn a symbiote has a little piece of it inside. And in order to awaken the symbiote god Null, Carnage has to kill every single person who's ever worn a symbiote and take that little piece back. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's going to involve mostly the entire Marvel Universe if you really think about it. This is a really cool opening salvo into that. I'm not going to show any artwork from it. I don't want to be spoiling it for Marvel. This is fun stuff, Carnage inspired. This is going to be the one everybody else wants to get. There's also a really cool Miles Morales, Peter Parker story in it that's really fun and nifty too. So you definitely want to check that out. Also from Marvel, we have Avengers. So this Avengers thing has, first of all, a preview into Savage Avengers, which just came out in comic shops this week. You can check out my review of that book over at the weekly comic book review on this channel. But this has, of course, an introduction into Savage Avengers, but it also has Jason Aaron and Stefano Caselli setting up a whole bunch of future arcs for the Avengers. So some really interesting things are taking place in this book. If you've been keeping up with Jason Aaron's Avengers, if you've been intrigued by that book, which I have been, a lot of the upcoming threads, how they're going to blossom, they get teased in this issue, so you definitely want to check it out for that. And then also, like I said, a really cool lead-in into Savage Avengers, if that's your boat. From DC, we've got Catwoman, Under the Moon. It's Catwoman tale. It's from DC Inc., which is their, like, PG-13, like, graphic novel line or whatever. This book was magnificent. This was really, really cool. This was neat. It's a cool take on Selena Kyle as a young child living at home, with like not even, you know, like, you're not my dad, Charles, or whatever, that kind of thing. But it's really, really touching, and it really does get into the character, albeit in a different setting, in a different mode, in a different zone. So this is totally perfect for kids that are like 13, 14, 15 and up. This is a great middle age range book. I really, really liked it, and it was tragic and it was heartbreaking. And I really am excited to check out the whole graphic novel, which came out in shops this Wednesday. This is a really nice peek into that. It also has a peek into the upcoming Raven graphic novel from DC Inc. And DC is also giving us a peek at a DC Zoom title. This is called Dear Justice League. This is charming, fun, fantastic. This is a great all ages title, and it's about children asking questions of the Justice League. So this one, for instance, has 2 chapters from the upcoming graphic novel in it. One about Superman, one about Hawkgirl. It's really cool, great all ages book, and I mean truly all ages. Like the smallest child will get enjoyment out of this, and the most jaded old adult like me will get enjoyment out of this book. It's very charming, very endearing. It's got really nice artwork. It's silly, it's fun, but it's also got a lot of heart behind it. I highly recommend this one for your little ones, absolutely. From Boom Studios, we've got a Whedonverse special here, so it's got a Buffy story that's relevant to the upcoming setup. It's a setup to the upcoming arc, and also a Firefly that's also an upcoming, or a setup to the upcoming arc, or the arc that just started. And in issue number 5, it also has a preview in it from the first issue of Buffy, in case you missed out from that one. Buffy and Firefly have been flourishing over at Boom right now. They're popular, they're selling well, and they're actually good and high quality stuff. Greg Pak, Jordi Belair, and company are knocking it out of the park. And this is a great free comic book day issue if you're a Whedon fan. From Dark Horse, we got a Stranger Things / Black Hammer special. So the Stranger Things story is really cool. It's kind of set right after the first season, before the second season. And it's nice little fill-in stuff. It's got some great artwork by Ibrahim Mustafa. And it's got some decent writing by Jody Houser. So I really did enjoy that one. And the Black Hammer story in the back is really interesting and kind of cool. It's written by Ray Fox and Jeff Lemire. It's got cool artwork. It does tease a little bit about maybe what's to come, but it does mostly focus in on Black Hammer 45, which of course is the wartime era of the Black Hammer universe. So that is out. Also, from Drawn and Quarterly, or is this Fantagraphics? This is Fantagraphics, my bad. From Fantagraphics, we have Our Favorite Thing Is My Favorite Thing Is Monsters. My Favorite Thing Is Monsters was the darling of the Eisners last year. Emil Ferris doing just really magnificent, unique artwork. So this, she's apparently working on a sequel to that book, and this has like a little tease into that, introduces readers to the idea, to the author, and has some fun early work of her in there as well. So if you're a fan of cool, interesting, off-the-wall stuff, really interesting artwork and things that really push the medium forward as far as storytelling goes, you definitely want to check that one out. From Caracal, we have A Sheets story. So Sheets apparently is a graphic novel that's available now. It was one of Barnes & Noble's best books of 2018. This was a really, really touching, great story by Brenna Thumler. I really, really liked it. It's about a girl whose mother has recently passed away. It's Mother's Day. They go and visit her grandmother, and she's kind of having a problem with that, just kind of having a little bit of struggle going through there. But she also has one of her best friends as a ghost named Sheet, so she carries around the sheet, and then it like becomes this ghost, and it's really, really charming, very down to earth, very grounded, and very real. This is great for your middle age and up, like 14 and up. That's a really good book right there. So Malika Fire and Frost. Every year there's like a Malika book. I read it, and I just get lost. I'm confused, but it's really cool, interesting type stuff. There's some Egyptian type things in there, and I don't know, it's all right. But that's one I would kind of skip over maybe. Funny Pages, though, if you like really quirky, weird, off-the-wall humor comics, you definitely want to check this one out. This is from Treasury of British Comics. What they do is they find old, forgotten, lost British humor comic strips, and then they just put it all out in this page. I also think if you're one of those fans of horror comics and you like silly, fun, vintage horror type stuff, you definitely want to check this out because it's got a really cool go through the haunted house game in it. That's it right there. That's like seriously 2 of my favorite pages from Free Comic Book Day. Funny Pages is out. If you ever wanted to check out Aftershock's Animosity, Animosity Tales is out. It's a one-shot that explains what animosity is about. It's a world where all of a sudden all the animals had all the intelligence and speaking abilities of humans, and they rose above and overthrew humanity, right? Really cool concept. This issue's all right. It feels a little clunky as it works its way through, but it does do a great job of setting up that world, that story, and it does make me more interested in checking it out now for sure. From American Mythology, Casper's Spookville. This has got exactly what you expect. A few new Casper stories that are fun and great for kids and stuff like that, and at the very end it's got a vintage Casper Tales. One of my favorite things about the American Mythology line right now is they do these books like Casper the Friendly Ghost and Rocky and Bullwinkle with the Three Stooges, Underdog, stuff like that. And what they do is they do new content, and then they publish the old content. And the old vintage stuff is really, really cool. And I love going back and reading those books. So that Casper one's pretty cool. Ahoy Comics had a smash success with the book The Wrong Earth, which takes a Batman, Superman-ish type character in a very bright and shiny Golden Age, Silver Age type era, and then also a very Frank Miller, Alan Moore, dark Night type era. So if you ever wanted to check that book out, here's a nice little primer right into it, a fun little story that does introduce you to the characters and to the concept, but not as well as I think the first issue of the actual book did, but pretty decent. Definitely something worth checking out to check out that book. It also has a sample of Captain Ginger and a couple other things in there. I didn't read this one. I'm not really that big of a Street Fighter fan as far as the comic books go. I've always enjoyed playing the fighting game. But Street Fighter fans, that's out. Street Fighter Sakura versus Kirin. And it's been so long since I played Street Fighter, I don't even know who those characters are. What happened to, Zangief, right? Anyway, Kino's Journey is a cool, interesting manga that is out for Free Comic Book Day. I highly encourage you to check this out if you like manga. It does read left to right. Or right to left. Yeah, it's the other way. But it's fun. It was nice. It was a nice little tale. At first, it was getting a little... It just was a little boring at first. And then I saw the structure of the story and what they were actually doing. And this was actually kind of neat and kind of cool. It's a nice little setup for what is going to be a whole collection of those coming out. From Valiant, you got a peek at the new upcoming Bloodshot series from Tim Seeley. You also got a peek at the recently released Fallen World by Dan Abnett. Both of these stories were all right. Valiant does some really, really good stuff. But I don't know, this Bloodshot's not really doing much for me. Fallen World didn't much do for me either, but there's a lot of backstory to that. But this one was kind of all right. If you're a hardcore Valiant fan, though, definitely check it out. The Tick always has, for the last few years, several years, has a Free Comic Book Day issue. This one's fun. It's got a few nice little Tick stories. So if you're a Tick fan, definitely be on the lookout for that one. Here's one from Oni Press called Ghost Hog. I really liked this one. I thought it was really cool. A nice little cute story about a ghost hog who's trying to learn how to haunt people because he was killed for food, right? And so this is a nice little fun, charming story. Great for mostly all ages. Really did like this one. I thought that was cool. So be on the lookout for Ghost Hog. Hope is one of those sleeper hits in Free Comic Book Day this year. It's from Source Point Press, and Hope is a story about a world where there are superheroes and the society's trying to figure out what exactly they're supposed to do, right? And then this one woman who is one of these superheroes, and nobody knows, she has her identity secret even from her husband and her kid, right? Her family's in a car accident, she comes out unscathed. Uh-oh, it's kind of a little bit like Unbreakable, but kind of really not, and I really, really enjoyed this. So if you get the chance, this has been the best thing I've ever read from Source Point Press. I really liked this one. Hope was really, really good. H1 Humanoids publications, new stuff. New venture started up by like Mark Waid, Magdalene Visaggio, John Cassidy, and a whole bunch of other talent and veteran from the industry. This is Ignition. This is kind of the start of it to introduce you to their shared superhero universe. It's got some interesting stories, some interesting setups, and it's got some previews for some upcoming original graphic novels that they're doing. So if you're interested in checking out this new company on the rise, it's coming out this summer. Check this out. It's going to be out this weekend. Zagor, the Alien Saga, is apparently a reproduction of a 60s sci-fi horror western weird cool comic book that was like, I think it was Italian or something like that. It's interesting. If you're like a fan of something like, I don't know, if you like the comic strip stuff like Prince Valiant and The Phantom, like weird, zany, wild, pulpish type stuff that kind of bends a bunch of different genres together. If you like some old school type stuff, definitely check it out. This is a preview of their collections, their complete collections of that comic strip. Marge's Little Lulu, world's best comic. This one is out from Drawn and Quarterly. They are doing new reproductions of Little Lulu, so this is a fun little thing. If you like Little Lulu back in the day, get this. It's got some classic strips in it. It's fun. They're restored. They look beautiful. They look majestic, and if it's something you want to introduce to your kid, here's a good excuse to do it right there. From Antarctic Press, we've got Punchline. So this book came out several months ago, and it kind of blew up. This is kind of, I think, an abbreviated version of issue number 1. It didn't really flow well for me. The whole idea of the story didn't really do much for me. This woman meets this other woman. She's like a dying superhero. She transfers her powers to her or something like that. I don't know. It was clunky. This one did not do much for me. This one, however, was great. From Random House Graphic, Lucy and Andy Neanderthal. This is a nice little black and white, fun, all-ages story about these Neanderthal kids finding a meteorite on the Earth, and it's got lots of cool information about meteorites, so you learn something, you have this cool little story as well. So this is a great all-ages book that I thought was really, really solid. From the CBLDF, hey, I did that right, Defend Comics, they've been coming out with these things every single year. This is a collection of other companies' works. We got stuff from Oni Press, you got stuff from a bunch of different publishers. This one was the one that really stood out for me. I really like that one. That's Nobody's Fool. That one was really cool. other than that, I mean, they were interesting, really cool little snippets of things, but just not enough. And I wanted more, but I guess that's the whole point. So Defend Comics is a nice little variety pack of really cool indie comics. Gilbert is out. This one comes from Paper Cut by Art Baltazar, who does the young little Hellboy and all that stuff. This was a nice little fun story about these aquatic creatures. Really cool if your kids like stuff like SpongeBob SquarePants and things like that. Definitely want to check out this one for them. Very simple, very clean, very fun, very good stuff. This one was really awesome. This is from Graphics and Scholastic. This is Wolfie Monster and the Big Bad Pizza Battle. I really like this one. This is charming, it's endearing, it's cute, it's fun. It's these monsters that run a pizza shop together that's failing. And then this big pizza shop mogul comes in and tries to buy them out, but they're gonna work together, or are they? Real fun, cute, I really like that. That's one of the best all ages ones out this week. We got The Grumble versus the Goon. This is cool stuff. If you're a big fan of Albatross, basically Eric Powell and his universe, you got his Grumble book, you got his Goon book, merged together into one fun story. It's original, it's cool, and it really, really is awesome. So if you're a Goon fan, an Eric Powell fan, you definitely want to check that out. From Red 5 Comics, we've got The Dark Age, also Afterburn, so 2 little previews of upcoming books. The Dark Age is a cool idea. What if all of a sudden one day this gray mist comes around and it eats up every bit of metal and technology and everything, right? So now mankind goes back into this like feudal state, right? So it's a cool, interesting setup to that story. Afterburn, which is the other book that's previewed in this coming up, is a story that is, so there's a big solar flare, massive radiation, and all the Earth that is facing the sun, so Asia, Africa, and Europe, get completely just destroyed, right? And all the people that survive wind up getting mutated, right? But all the treasure, all the stuff is still there. So there's this daring group of mercenaries and stuff that go from the Western Hemisphere over there to try to make these daring raids to like steal treasures and Fabergé eggs and stuff like that. So it's an interesting story, interesting concepts on both of these. I thought The Dark Age was a little bit better executed. Afterburn felt a little clunky, but that is out this week. Blastosaurus has a free comic book day issue. This is from Golden Apple Books. Blastosaurus is really fun. It's very Hellboy-esque, very Atomic Robo a little bit. He's just, you know, but he's a dinosaur. Real fun stuff. The artist is, I think, pretty much damn near blind, and it's amazing to me looking at the art because you cannot tell. I really like the artwork. I really like the story. This is a bunch of little short stories. They're all charming. They're all fun. Really neat. If you like stuff like pulp, like Hellboy and Atomic Robo, I highly recommend that. And finally, let's talk about from IDW, Star Wars Adventures. This, I think, is a reprint because I stopped reading it, so I'm not quite sure, of one of the issues of Star Wars Tales from Vader's Castle. This is a Han Solo and Chewie adventure that was actually really, really cool. It's kind of done, it's Star Wars Adventures, so it's done in that animation, you know, young, fresh, energetic, animated style, but I actually did like this story, and maybe I should go back and read all of the short stories. So that is what is out this week. Star Wars fans, you definitely want to check that out. My pick, though, is Interceptor. Really cool premise, really great idea, dynamic, fun, great action, great composition. Some really, really good books out for this free comic book day. What are you looking forward to? What are you checking out? Check it. Let us know in the comments down below, and join us. Free Comic Book Day night. That's right. Saturday night, 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. We'll be doing a special Free Comic Book Day live stream. You can chat with me about the books, what you checked out, all that stuff and more. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.